Right, what's going on, people? Ring Roadmap here, and today we're going to talk about Crawford versus Spence, possibly the biggest fight of the year. I'm going to tell you guys my prediction on it, so let's get right into it. Now, the first one we're going to talk about, we're going to use the fight between Crawford versus Yessen as a basis for this. I gotta be honest, it was really hard to find clips which will suit this fight, because the last time they fought Southpaws was like 5 years ago, you know, and they both ended it convincingly, so it's a difficult fight to really call because it's been a long time since they fought Southpaws. But luckily we have Yessen. Yessen was able to switch stances on Crawford, and that's what we're going to use for this one. So the first one you're going to see is going to be the overhand for Yessen on the orthodox stance, but then you also use it in the Southpaw stance, which makes it more of a check right hook. So as you can see here, that side for Crawford serves as a blind side, or it's like his blind side. He keeps on getting caught on that side. So as you can see here, he's going to try to land that short left, and then Yessen will come back with the right hook of his own as he tries to roll with the punch, which he actually succeeded in doing. He was able to roll with that punch right there. For this one, let's see if he threw it from the orthodox stance or the southpaw stance. This is going to throw it from the... Well, I think that was more of a right jab than a right hook, but we're going to look at another example here. Here it's going to be a double jab, and then there again he threw more of a Soviet hook right there. And the main problem with Crawford is that he transitions between the cross guard and the Philly shell, so he covers the side of the head, but at the same time he's also trying to defend that right side of his cheek with the cross guard defense. So in those instances he is getting caught with those right hooks or those overhand lefts if you're an orthodox. So the next one we're going to talk about is going to be the short left hand from Yessen. As you can see here, he's going to set it up with a double jab, and Crawford's is going to turn bladed. When he turns bladed, he actually fails, or he actually defends himself a little less when he is bladed. He's less capable of defending the left hand when he's bladed and when he's bending out the way. So as you can see here, Yessen will set it up with the double jab, and then he's going to catch him on the way up with that left hand, or with that short left hand. Here's gonna switch again, or no, he's actually more for an orthodox here. Okay, so Yessen will be at an orthodox stance, and then he's gonna throw that check hook. If you're a southpaw, obviously you just have to flip the camera, or you just have to flip the angle. It's gonna be more of a short left hand if it was Errol Spence. And then here he's gonna do that same thing again. He's gonna set it up with a solar plexus shot to get Crawford bladed. And then once he does that, that side of the cheek of Crawford is already open. So it's really easy to sneak those shots in. Luckily for Crawford, Yessen wasn't really a big puncher. You know, he's not as big of a puncher as Spence. And his punches are not as tight. His punches are not as compact. And so it's going to be a different story when he fights Spence. And he really has to be careful here, because that side is going to be a big opening, and Spence's left hand will find its way into that opening as well. So the next thing we want to talk about is how Crawford has the tendency to tie up whenever he gets overwhelmed on the inside. As you can see, he's going to try to tie up, let those hands free. But the problem with this is that when you let your hands free, your face is open, your entire face is open. And so you have to lean, or you have to use the body of your opponent to really protect yourself. If you don't, they're gonna catch you with some shots while you are in that open position, or while you are in that vulnerable position. So you're gonna see him actually here, or you'll actually see him here try to tie up, and then he's gonna get caught with a shot while he tries to tie up. So there he gets caught with the right hook from Yessen. Here's a little more subtle example here. Again, he's gonna pull back, he's gonna try to tie up. So I want you guys to see this for yourself. He's gonna lean back a little bit, he's gonna try to tie up, and in that split second of him trying to tie up, his whole face is open. He doesn't have any glove protecting that face, and in my opinion, if he attempts this against a much bigger and much stronger... I know what you're gonna say, well, Crawford walks around big, but if you look at their bodies, Errol is just much more muscular, he's just much wider, alright? I think he's much stronger as well, in terms of pure strength, in terms of raw strength. Maybe not as much in punching power, but in terms of raw strength, I think Errol is much stronger than Crawford. The next we're going to talk about is how Crawford uses the Philly shell on the inside as a southpaw, which is not something that I'm completely against. Only a few people can actually get away with that shit. If you're a southpaw and you're going to fight inside, it's much better to just stick to the high guard. But for Crawford, he likes using the Philly shell on the inside. And against Errol Spence, or against someone like Errol Spence who stays glued to you, who stays on the inside, you're gonna get caught with a lot of shots inside if you do this against him. So you have to use the high guard. Crawford will have to use the high guard against Spence, or else, just like Van Jessen did here, Spence is gonna be able to sneak some shots in, which Crawford will not be able to see coming. And I have to remind you guys that Errol is a much busier puncher than Van Jessen. This is just a taste, this is just a glimpse. But if a low output puncher like Van Jessen, don't get me wrong, Van Jessen throws a lot of punches, but not at the same rate as Errol. Alright, so if somebody who doesn't have the same work rate as Errol is able to hit Crawford like this on the inside and is able to exploit the openings of that Philly shell and that cross guard too, because it does transition, or he does transition in between that, as you can see here. If he's able to do that, I don't see how Errol will fail to do that as well. Okay, so let's get right into my prediction for this one. I think they both got their holes. Alright, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Errol's a perfect fighter. He will definitely get caught with some counters from Crawford. I think he'll be able to handle them well. He'll be able to take those punches well. And he'll be able to keep on coming forward, keep on coming inside. If Crawford sticks to the outside and runs away, I think Spence will win via decision. If he goes on the inside, I see a stoppage for Errol Spence. So that's my prediction on this fight. Again, they both got their holes. Errol's defense has his holes. Crawford's defense has his holes as well. They both have their openings. As you can see in my previous predictions, I have went against Spence multiple times. I thought that Manny was gonna beat Spence, and I thought that Ugas was gonna beat Spence as well because of those openings. But Spence just continues to prove me wrong, and I don't see how he will, or I don't see it being broken by Crawford. I think Errol's gonna prove everyone wrong once again for this fight. He's gonna stay glued to Crawford, and he'll be able to handle the punches of Crawford as well. So that was it. In terms of volume, Spence, or the work rate of Spence, is much more consistent than that of Crawford. And so if it goes into a decision, there's a high chance that Spence might be able to outwork him. So that's my opinion on that. If Crawford fights in an orthodox stance, I think it's gonna be the same way, or it's gonna be the same fight as what happened in the Ugas fight. Alright, he's gonna get on the inside, he's gonna stay glued to him. If he fights southpaw, I think it'll be more of an outside fight with some spurts of inside fighting, in which, again, I think Errol's still gonna be able to edge that out, but more likely, or yeah, it's more likely that that's gonna go to a decision. So that's my prediction on this one. I'm not really sure about the method of victory, but I'm going for Spence. Alright, so if you want to bet on that, go ahead. I'll see you guys soon. Join my Patreon if you want to, and subscribe if you're new. Peace out.